In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I made my first $10,000 a month, still in school at the age of 22, realizing that school was not the path for me, in addition to all the other different ways people are preaching in the market on ways you can make your first $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 every single month, because everybody's saying that, there's a different way to make a lot of money very fast. And if I would have just stuck to this one thing in the beginning, it would have saved me over 5 years by testing different business models, trying different ways to make money. Because once I hit my first $10,000 a month with this method, at the age of 24, 2 years later, I hit my first $100,000 a month. And then even 2 years after that, we did our first $1 million a month. And since then, we haven't made less than $10 million a year with the businesses and agencies that I'm a part of. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my journey, my learning lessons of what's worked for me and what clearly doesn't work, even though everybody is preaching it in the market, and then also how you can get started fast. I'm going to be going over the 5 biggest things that you need to take into account when you are starting your journey to make sure that you're making $10,000 a month as fast as possible. And at the end of the video, I'm even going to give you some more resources on different videos and trainings that you can use to start making $10,000 as fast as possible. Picking the right path and business model for your first $10,000 a month is probably the most important thing and decision that you make inside of your journey into owning a business, because if you don't have the right business model, you can unfortunately spend years and years and years just trying to make a few dollars, when in reality, you could have done the exact business model that I chose to start making money almost immediately. I'm going to walk you through what I've tried, all my failures, and hopefully save you at least 2 years of just trying different business models, because there's so many gurus out there saying to do e-commerce, crypto, trading, all that stuff. And to be honest with you, all of those people are making money selling you courses, selling you coaching, and they're not actually making money in the actual business that they run or that they're selling you on how to run. And that's something that me personally, I've made all my money in the agency space, and now I'm finally able to share my journey and making all of that money, actually owning this type of business. So when I got started, the first business that I got into was actually a prototyping company. And that was like a legitimate real life business that I tried. You learn really quickly that a traditional brick and mortar type business is probably one of the hardest businesses to run, because not only are you starting this thing not really understanding how to get clients and customers, but you're also confined to your immediate area. And if you don't live in a big city, it can be really tough to actually build that clientele. And let's be honest too, if you're young and still in school like I was, people are going to have a perception that you're young, you're uneducated, you don't know what you're doing. That's going to be really hard to get a substantial amount of money from each customer, which is what you want to be making. So I got started in prototyping, and I switched up very quickly and went into trying to have a fitness YouTube channel. And I learned very quickly that there are some people that are just made for YouTube, but me personally, and just like everybody else, I just didn't have it in me. And I spent a lot of years making content, editing, doing all that stuff that a normal YouTuber does, and didn't make a dollar from my time doing that. So after that, I got into the online space, and I was like, hey, I'm going to try out this e-commerce stuff, do eBay, Amazon, all that fun stuff. And again, learned very quickly that drop shipping, yes, you can make some sales, and it's where I made my first dollar, but people complain, the products are trash, and unfortunately, the people that are showing you that they make a lot of money, they don't tell you that the profit margins are like less than 10%. And realizing what I know now, the business model that I chose, thankfully, has a very, very, very good profit margin above 50%, especially if you're running it properly. And then lastly, I did try crypto and trading, and yes, you can make some good money. I made a couple $1,000s doing crypto and trading, but I also lost just as much money, because you really are just gambling at that point with any kind of trading, any kind of crypto. And if it's not gambling, then you need hundreds of thousands of dollars of liquid cash to make that 1% back every month or every couple weeks. And if you don't have a lot of money to start, unfortunately, it can be difficult. So what I'm going to actually be showing you and helping you decide on today is something that you don't need any money to start. You don't need any money to start. You can work with clients literally anywhere in the world, and you are literally monetizing your specific service and your time and your skill set, and it's something that you control, and you're not reliant on everybody else to consume your content or to buy your products or services or on the market and hoping that the trade that you made is profitable. I want to give you a really quick reality check, and it is something that I wish I knew when I first got started. And there are a couple things that are just hard truths in business that you need to accept and get over. Because again, if I would have accepted them in the beginning, it would have saved me almost 2 years of trying these different business models that I just went over. And the first thing is that you need to get money from people, and you can't rely on people giving you money. And what I mean by that is you need to go out there and you need to make the money. You need to go out there, book appointments, you need to sell people, and you need to pitch your services to somebody to make sure that you are fully in control of your revenue generation. And we talk a lot about in service-based businesses, revenue generating activities. And what that means is instead of you spending your time searching for products and doing all this crazy stuff that you would do if you were trying to do e-commerce or looking at different crypto coins or anything like that, you need to focus on reaching out to local businesses or individuals online, pitching your services, and then booking appointments and selling them. And if you focus all of your time on those things, eventually you're going to know that if I reach out to 20 people, one person's going to hop on an appointment. And then if I can get 3 people on an appointment and 2 of them show up, I can close one of those individuals, and one of those people is going to give me $1,000 every single month. And all you have to do is continue to repeat that until you hit $10,000 a month. And you can literally do that. I've seen some individuals do that in literally less than 2 months, still in school. So if you just realize and get over the hump, I know it's super easy to just sit behind your computer, click around, build websites, build out these products or these shops or all this stuff, or try to have a faceless YouTube channel. And it sounds great. It really does. People are selling you the dream. That's why they're making a lot of money selling the dream. But in reality, if you just get over the fact that you are going to have a business where you're pitching people and you're selling, and accept that fact and get good at it instead of running away from it, you're going to make that much money that much faster. And you're also going to have the confidence that no matter what, I am always going to be able to go out there, sell something to somebody, and make money from them and have financial freedom. And that's something that they're not teaching you in school, because if you just had that realization that if you go out there and you have the mindset that I need to generate revenue and I need to go get that money from individuals, not waiting for them to give it to me, your success is going to be that much faster. And then the other thing too is realizing that the business model really also matters. So you have things like e-commerce, even traditional brick and mortar businesses, where you have these crazy upfront investments and margins are super thin. You hear it all the time. Just traditional businesses are working off of anywhere from a 5 to a 15% profit margin. And with an online service-based business, it's almost 100% profit margin, because if you're selling the individual, you're bringing the money in, and then you're spending your time to fulfill the client, or you're hiring somebody on Upwork to fulfill them, and it's costing you $50 to $100, and that client's paying you back $1,000 every single month. It's almost 100% profit that you're putting in your pocket every single month. So you need to really understand that the way to have fast success is keeping what's controllable in your court and not relying on other people, again, to give you money. Being able to go out there, generate revenue for yourself, and then fulfilling something that's service-based, not product-based, or something that you're going to have to spend a lot of money to fulfill, so that you can retain high profit margins and you're putting as much money in your pocket as fast as possible. So one thing I want to talk about is social media really messed all of our minds up. And if you're not rich in the next 6 months and driving a Lamborghini, dropped out, living in a crazy house or a high-rise penthouse downtown and with a bunch of girls all around, that you didn't make it and you're a failure. And be quite honest with you, that is not reality, because as much as those people are selling you the dream that it can happen very quickly, most of them took 5 to 10 years to figure out that specific business model for them. Or they just said, screw all that, I'm going to fake all my results and just sell everybody these get-rich-quick schemes, which unfortunately I fell for. I'm sure if you're potentially watching this video, you might have fallen for as well. And as much as it did take me 5 years to make my first million, because I got started at 19 and I didn't make my first million till I was 24 years old, I can still save you 3 to 4 years. And yes, you're not going to make your first million in a year of business, but it definitely can happen in year 2 if you stick to one specific service-based business with one offering. You don't get all shiny. You don't get shiny object syndrome. Switch up your specific business model. If you stick to one thing and you get good at generating revenue, working with clients, fulfilling, and then scaling, you can make $1 million within that 2-year mark or that 3-year mark, but still saving so much more time than I did spinning my wheels, trying all these different business models and all these things. If I would have gotten over the fear of going out there and just selling individuals the service I have to sell, getting very good at that, and then starting to build my business piece by piece, I would have made money that much faster. Oh, I like that. And another thing too you really want to think about is not what you want next month. Everybody wants to make $10,000 next month. And I was there and I totally get that. But if you can start thinking bigger picture, not only is money going to come faster, but in that 10-year mark or 5-year mark, you're going to be at such a crazy high level that you would have never expected yourself to be at by just thinking about, I want to make $10,000 a month. Because when you're thinking, I want to make $10,000 a month, your actions aren't going to be that drastic. But if you're like, in the next 5 years, I want to make $10 million, well, that's a lot of money that you need to generate in that period of time. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to do differently because you're actually building a legitimate business and not a side hustle. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure everybody wants to make $10,000 a month, but you also want to make more than that, and you want to sustain it for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years and have financial freedom and live a free life. And by building a business, it absolutely can give you that lifestyle, but you really need to focus on building a business that can pay you that amount of money, and brick by brick building something that is going to last, and not taking shortcuts, not making false promises, because anybody can go out there and make a quick $10,000. But if you can't sustain it and you're doing it the wrong way, it will go away. You're going to burn your name, things can happen, or you might just never get to that point where you feel like you are financially free. Because if you're making $10,000 a month, but you don't know next month if you're going to make that back, that can be an issue. So you really need to focus on not only sticking to one thing, but also building a legitimate business with good margins. That's something that can feed you and pay you for the rest of your life. I want to manage your expectations a little bit by telling you exactly what's going to happen if you just stick to a service-based business and start building something that can last you a lifetime. There's different levels you're going to get to. So the first $0 to $10,000 is hard. That's the hardest part. But once you make your first $1, you can make $2. And once you make $2, you can make $4. And you're going to get to the point where you are making $10,000 a month. And eventually that's going to turn into $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. And it's very easy to get to that point. Getting to 10K is hard every single month. Getting from $10,000 to $40,000 or $50,000 is going to be super easy. You're going to make that. You're going to feel like you're on top of the world. But after that, that's when you really have to start digging in and building a business. Once you get to that $40,000, $50,000 a month point, and you start putting the right pieces in place to your business, that's what's going to allow you to then go from making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And then once you get to that point, scaling's super easy, because it's the exact same thing to get to 50 to 100, from $100 to $1 million a month. Scaling becomes easy at that point, but there are these plateaus that you are going to get to, because from zero to that $10,000 mark, it's you figuring out how business works, figuring out how you actually go generate revenue, and you consistently do that, and you're going to make $10, $20, $30,000 a month. And then going from $30,000 to $100,000 a month is you building a team and building systems. So you're going to hire your first salesperson to take over your sales calls. You're going to hire a setter to go out and prospect. You're going to start ads. You're going to have a funnel. You're going to have a back-end team, and you're going to be building this business. And it's going to take you a while to figure it out, because just like me, I was never in a management position. I had to learn these skills along the way. And once you figure it out and you're like, okay, I have a team, I have a closer, I have a back-end person that's fulfilling my clients, that's when it becomes fun, because you're out of the picture, you're working on building the business, and you're going now from $50,000 a month to $100,000, and then you see how quickly that comes. You hire another closer, now you're doing $200,000 a month. Hire another closer, now it's $250,000, and you can infinitely scale from there. So these are the plateaus, and I do want to manage your expectations that, again, it's going to be very hard to make your first $10,000 a month, but if you stick to it, you can definitely do that within a 6 to 8 month period, figuring out how to go get money from people. And then after that, once you figure out how to place individuals inside your business and actually grow a team, it's going to be very easy for you to hit your first $1 million month. And then lastly, when you first start making this money, because again, it feels like it comes very quickly. Once you get your first $1,000 a month client, you're going to be like, dang, I need to do that only 10 more times and I'm making $10,000 a month. It can feel like it comes very easy. And I want to tell you one thing, that as much as it comes easy, it can go very quickly. And if you take your eye off the ball, you stop fulfilling your customers and you get comfortable, it can leave very quickly. And then that's really why I mentioned getting to $10,000 a month, feeling like, okay, I have a solid base, but then continuing to build and really thinking about building a big business, not a revenue stream. And that's one of the biggest things I want to tell you, because if you go out there and you start blowing your money super quick and you need to go invest in a CSM or you want to invest in a setter and you don't have the money to do that, you're going to be in this continuous cycle where you're just continuing to do all the work. You're going to get burnt out because you feel like you have to just go in to try to make a little bit of money to live, because your expenses are so crazy now because you feel like you're making a little bit of money, and that's not how you build a business, especially one that's sustainable. And at the end of the day, again, we want to make a lot of money. We want to be financially free. We want to support individuals in our life. Whatever it is, that is the reason that you want to make this money. And again, you need to figure out how to make money, and after that, it's how do I build a business and making something sustainable. And I'm not saying that you can't go spend money, but wait till you're bringing in $50,000 a month every month hitting your bank account, and don't blow those first few dollars you have. Stay in the trenches, stay humble, stay reinvesting into your business, because if you go out and you're making $10,000 a month and you're spending $6,000 of it personally, that's $6,000 less that you have to actually go and invest back into your business that could have scaled you faster. Imagine this situation: instead of spending $6,000 out of that $10,000 every month, you only spend $2,000 and you reinvest that extra $4,000. So you're investing $8,000 back into your business. That's 2 setters that I can hire to fill my calendar with more leads. That's a CSM that I can hire on full time to fulfill my clients. And then eventually I can pay a couple $1,000s to get a closer. And now I have, we talked about getting to that place in business where you have a little bit of a team, and that's going to unlock different revenue pieces for you. That can happen that much quicker when you're reinvesting the money back into the business and not taking it out. And I saw this firsthand with somebody that we actually partnered with. He was making about $13,000, $14,000 every month, but he was actually spending about $10,000 of that. And the unfortunate part is he only had 5 clients. So he lost a few of them and realized that his monthly expenses outweighed the actual amount of money that he was making every single month. And he started losing and basically had to go get a job. And so you really need to be careful and stay in the trenches and stay locked in that this is my job and I am here to build a business that is going to sustain me for the rest of my life. Once you start making all this money, it's going to open up a lot of doors for you to invest into all of these other things that when you got started seemed so cool, but you didn't have the money to do. And I want to tell you, out of everything that I've learned, the one biggest thing is you need to stick to what you're good at. I learned that lesson the hard way. I've lost more than $400,000 in these done-for-you investments where I can pay somebody to make an e-commerce store or a truck or like a physical truck where they're making deliveries. I paid somebody to start me a trucking company. All of this crazy stuff that you can pay these individuals to do. And when you start making money, it can be very easy to go out and be like, oh, like this is a really great offer. I can pay somebody to get me a rental property, all this stuff. And at the end of the day, these people are making money from you paying them. They are very rarely making money from what they actually do. And if you just double down on what you're good at, you're making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. You're already a part of the 1% that actually got their business out of the ground. Now it's time to double down on what you're good at and build a business out of it. And then guess what? If you want to make more money and maybe it hit a ceiling, go start another business that's service-based, just in a different industry. And that's how we've gotten all the awards behind me, is sticking to what we're good at, not going out there and making a little bit of money, getting shiny object syndrome, paying all these people to do crazy stuff, or even just paying people ridiculous amounts of money to consult and hire within the business. Stick to what you're good at and always control everything inside of your business, and you're going to make that much more money in the long run. The other thing too, in terms of your spending habits, is definitely take money out of the business and have a percentage of money that you spend every single month inside of your monthly profit, because that's going to be what you live off of. And if you can live off of 10%, 20% of your revenue every month, again, not only are you able to reinvest as much as possible, but it also gives you a little bit more motivation that if you're making $50,000 a month and you're spending 20%, you want to make more money. Well, okay, I need to grow my business to $250,000 a month. And now I get to spend $50,000. So you can get rewarded by just putting these simple things in place. And again, at the end of the day, if you grow a business on a 70% profit margin, making $250,000 a month, and maybe in 10 or 15 years you want to sell it, you're going to retire, and you're going to be retired at 35 or 40 years old. So if you just stick, lock in, put some of these different rules, in quotes, in place, it's going to get you a lot farther, a lot faster. So if you just stay focused and stay patient, making $10,000 every month and beyond that is totally possible, because again, I did it myself. And if I would have known what I knew now, I would have made it in that much less time. But if you want to know exactly how to pick your target market and your specific niche to sell to, then check out the other video that I have on screen right now or linked in the description, and you'll actually have a clear path then on not only what type of business to run, but then who I'm going to service. And then once you know that, you can hit the ground running.